I wasn't supposed to be home this early. The meeting had been canceled, and instead of telling my wife Lily, I decided to surprise her. I pictured the delight on her face, the way her eyes would light up when I walked through the door. Maybe she'd throw her arms around me, laughing in that soft way she always did when I caught her off guard. But the moment I stepped inside, I knew something was wrong. The house was too quiet. The air was thick with the scent of wine and perfume, her favorite, but there was something else beneath it, something unfamiliar. A strange undercurrent in the air, subtle yet undeniable. Then I saw it. A single candle flickered on the dining table, its dim glow casting long shadows against the walls. Next to it sat 2 wine glasses, one of them still smudged with lipstick. My stomach twisted. The glass wasn't mine. And then I heard it, laughter. Hers. Floating down the hall, soft and intimate, from our bedroom. A slow, suffocating dread wrapped around my chest, each breath heavier than the last. My body moved before my mind could catch up, my steps soundless against the hardwood floor. The bedroom door was slightly ajar, a sliver of warm light spilling into the hallway. I pushed it open. There she was. Lily. My wife. Sitting on the edge of our bed, wearing nothing but a shirt, my best friend's shirt. And Ethan, the man I trusted like a brother, stood in front of her, his fingers grazing her skin. Time stilled. Their heads snapped toward me. For a long, agonizing moment, none of us spoke. Then Lily exhaled a shaky breath. You're home early. My grip on the doorframe tightened, my knuckles turning white. Something dark and venomous coiled inside me, rage simmering slow, hot, deadly. Ethan took a step forward, hands raised as if to explain. David, man. Shut up. My voice was low. Dangerous. I turned to Lily, my pulse a drumbeat in my ears. How long? She swallowed hard. David. How long? She hesitated. That second of silence was all the answer I needed. Ethan opened his mouth, but I moved before he could speak. My fist crashed into his jaw with a sickening crack. He staggered back, colliding with the dresser, a choked grunt escaping his lips. Lily screamed, rushing between us, her hands clawing at my arms. Stop, she shrieked. It's not what you think. A bitter laugh tore from my throat, humorless and sharp. Not what I think. I gestured at her, at the oversized shirt swallowing her frame, at the bed that still smelled like us but now reeked of him. You're wearing his shirt. In our bed. Ethan groaned from the floor, clutching his jaw. I glared down at him, my fists still clenched, my breath ragged. Get up, I snarled. Get the hell out before I do something worse. He wiped blood from his lip but didn't argue. He grabbed his shirt and hurried past me, avoiding my gaze. The front door slammed shut behind him. Silence settled over the room, thick and suffocating. I turned to Lily. Her lips trembled. David, please, No. My voice was steel, cold and unyielding. She flinched, and for the first time, I saw it. The flicker of guilt, the realization that she had overplayed her hand. But she didn't know what real fear was. Not yet. For the next week, I played my role flawlessly, the devastated husband, the broken man. I let her think I was drowning in grief, that I was lost, shattered. But I wasn't drowning. I was planning, because Lily and Ethan's betrayal wasn't just personal. It was calculated. I found the hidden bank transactions first. Large sums transferred in quiet secrecy, funneled into an account under Ethan's name. Then I found the revised will, the one Lily had convinced me to sign just last month. The one that left everything to her if something ever happened to me. It wasn't just an affair. It was a plan. They weren't waiting for me to forgive them. They were waiting for me to disappear. And that was their mistake. That evening, I walked into the house with a bottle of her favorite wine in hand. Lily. I called. She appeared in the doorway, hesitant, guarded. David. I smiled, warm and inviting, as if I had finally softened, as if I had made peace with everything. I've been thinking, I said, voice gentle, almost remorseful. Maybe we should talk. Hope flashed in her eyes. She had no idea she had already lost. We sat across from each other at the dining table. The same table where she had once shared wine with him, whispered secrets to him, planned my demise with him. I poured her a glass first, then mine. She took a sip, her shoulders relaxing. I never meant to hurt you, she murmured, voice delicate, careful. I leaned forward, watching her. I know. She blinked, her pupils dilating slightly. A flicker of confusion crossed her face. This tastes different. It should. I tilted my glass, letting the deep red swirl inside. It's a rare vintage. Expensive. Special. Her breathing hitched. David. I leaned back in my chair, my smile never faltering. You always said you wanted to start over. That I should forgive you. That we could move forward. Her hands trembled. What did you do? I watched as understanding dawned in her widening eyes, the way her throat constricted, her breath turning shallow. Her fingers went limp, the wine glass slipping from her grasp and shattering against the table. She gasped, clawing at her throat. I sighed and stood. Don't worry, Lily, I murmured, crouching beside her as she slumped to the floor. It's not lethal. Her gaze was frantic, wild with terror. But it will feel like it is. I held up my phone, turning the screen toward her. The live security feed from Ethan's house played in perfect clarity. She saw him there, writhing on the floor, already convulsing, his body rejecting the very same wine I had so kindly shared with him. You and Ethan liked playing games, I whispered. So I played one too. She tried to speak, but her lips barely parted. The paralysis was setting in. I stood, adjusting my coat as I looked down at her. By the time they find you, the evidence will already be there. The hidden accounts, the revised will, the messages from Ethan. Everything that proves you two were planning to kill me for money. Her body twitched. She was fighting to stay conscious. I crouched one last time, brushing a stray strand of hair from her sweat-dampened forehead. Enjoy prison, darling. Then I walked out the door. By the time the police arrived, Lily was barely conscious. The neatly arranged file on the kitchen counter told a damning story, one of betrayal, greed, and an unfortunate, well-documented conspiracy against her husband. Ethan wasn't as lucky. He had already succumbed to his dose. Lily sent me letters from prison, pleading, apologizing, begging. I never responded. Instead, one evening, I stood at the cliffside, the wind howling around me, carrying away the last remnants of the past. I was done being the fool. And Lily was exactly where she belonged.